Hello you what's his faces, welcome back to a new video. Tigon here, and today I'm going to make a long anticipated video for many, the perfect sensitivity for Season 9. Now of course that's easier said than done because there's a huge dilemma, and that's the fact that there are way more sensitivities now, and that's just one issue but not the only one. The next one is the fact that the new scopes can be put on both snipers and ARs, but most people have different sensitivities for their snipers and ARs, so that's an issue as well. And lastly, the new update slightly changed everyone's sense, and all these topics are what we're going to be addressing today. So without further ado, let's get into the video. One pro tip though, if you already have a good Battle Royale sense and you play Battle Royale a lot, I would just try to port over a lot of those sensitivities to your current multiplayer sense, but that's just for that. Now let's get into it. So as for the slight sensitivity change you might have noticed, make sure to keep it exactly the same. There's no reason to change it, it's going to only make it harder because currently the ratios are all perfect. You're just going to have to adjust slightly, but if you end up changing stuff, you're going to mess up the ratios and it's just going to take longer to learn. You're better off just getting used to it. The human mind is quite amazing and you will get used to it very fast, maybe in like a day or two. Now for the scopes, we have now a 3 times, a 4 times, 6 times, and 8 times, and you're gonna really have to go ahead and set some rules. There's no real reason to use a 3 times and 4 times on a sniper. It doesn't aid you that much more than a 6 times or 8 times would, and it puts you at a disadvantage long range, so you're better off really just using a 6 or 8. And if you're using it for the marksman rifles, then I would use the exact same sensitivity you're using for ARs. And also, I would not change your ADS sense more than 10 to 15 points. And what do I mean by that? So if you go into settings and you go into sensitivity, as you guys can see, the ADS sense I have is 151. Now that's pretty high. Don't copy my sensitivity, I just like it this way. But as you guys can see, this is what my sensitivity is. I would keep it at this. I would literally keep it the same and maybe lower it 10 by 10 points. To be honest, I would personally keep it the same, but don't lower it more than 10 to 15 points. So maybe put it 13 points lower, which is really stretching it. To be honest, I really recommend staying in between the 10-point range. Maybe take it down 9, 4, something like that, but it doesn't need to be taken down too much. Really just think about console players when they're playing Warzone or Apex. When you look at their sensitivities, the difference between each scope really isn't that much. They just get used to it and they can laser with all of those scopes. All that you really need to do is get used to it and improve that muscle memory. That's all it is. Now, as we've already established, you're going to only want to use 6 and 8 times scopes for sniping, and I recommend using the exact same sniper sensitivity you have for both the 6 and 8 times. You're really just going to get used to it. However, if your sniper sensitivity is very fast, you might want to lower it by about 10 points or so. But if you think about it, all the snipers you currently use, the base scopes before the update, they feel slightly different. When I was using the Arctic, when I was using the 𝕮𝓐𝓫 and the Locust, when I would flick with those snipers, they would feel slightly different, and that's because they're just slightly different. They're not exactly the same. So you would essentially end up getting used to both the 6 times and 8 times scopes. So you could, it will be actually really easy to just go ahead and work on it. One fun thing you can actually do is if you switch all your sniper scopes to the 6 times, it will be really easy to switch between all snipers because it feels the exact same. It would literally feel the exact same. But once again, don't change it too much. It shouldn't be that much different than your base scope. Me personally, I'm keeping it the exact same for both my 6 times and my 8 times. I'm gonna get used to it anyway. If I end up changing the sensitivity by like 10 points or whatever, I'm gonna have to get used to it anyway, so I'm just gonna keep it the exact same. Now we're gonna get into how to find your sense. Okay guys, so in this segment I'm gonna show you how to find your perfect sensitivity from scratch in 5 minutes. So let's go ahead and do it. We're on a time crunch. So first thing first, let me go ahead and show you the sensitivity I'm running. Literally, it is the base sensitivity. You set speed acceleration, and I think speed acceleration is the best. If you guys want to port over from fixed speed to speed acceleration, literally just change your standard sense to the same thing and it should work pretty well. Like if you're on fixed speed, you can port over to speed acceleration pretty easily. Just make sure your value is something above 100 and nothing below 200 and above 100. So first off, you're going to need to find your rotation mode, or which is going to be speed acceleration. The next thing, you're going to need to find your acceleration value. Now I know mine is 150, but you can literally just see what feels comfortable. So 140 feels kind of comfortable, but I like to move way faster. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to go and put it up to 150, right? No, that's not 150, so god dang it. Can you just tap in? Dang it, nah, I wish you could, that'd be kind of cool. But there you go, you got 150, right? That's the sensitivity you have right there. That's what mine is. Now you're gonna have to go ahead and figure out what yours is, and the best way to do that is literally just to play it, see what feels comfortable. Like this is just pure base speculation. What do you think feels comfortable? And find that number. Once you find that number, go to settings. Now it's time for hip fire. And hip fire is basically, oh no, let's go back there. Hip fire is basically your your standard sensitivity. So when you go to camera, standard sensitivity, that is your hip fire, right? And what you're gonna want to do is literally try to track something with your hip fire. If you can track it with your hip fire, that means that is a good sensitivity for your hip fire. So let's go ahead and see if we can track this. If you can track something comfortably. Something really well to go ahead and track are those things shooting up, because they're gonna be really hard to track. This is pretty easy to track because it's slow, but this works pretty darn well. So let's see if we can find one of those rockets flying up again and see if we can track that. But let's actually reload. There we go. And as you guys can see, I can track that pretty well with ample space. Now, I would like more space just because that's how I like my sensitivity. But as you can see, if it works, it works. Next thing you're gonna wanna do is just use that and then go ahead and practice, because muscle memory is the only thing that makes everything perfect. But you have that, right? That's your standard sense. Now you gotta go here and look at firing sensitivity. Standard sense and firing are exactly the same. I recommend keeping them the same most of the time, because that's just going to be easier for you. It's gonna be way easier. However, especially for your firing sensitivity, I would not, or your hip fire, I would not make the tracking and the firing too much different. I feel like that doesn't need to happen. So you just literally have this exact same. That is my recommendation. Now the next thing you're gonna have to do is you're gonna have to get your ADS sensitivity, right? So as you guys can see, ADS sensitivity, we're gonna put this up. Well, it's 140, right? We're gonna go ahead and scope in. The heck, why can't I scope in? Can't do anything. Okay, so now we're just gonna track. If we can track relatively well, then that means it's good. Anything else, all the other types of sniping, you don't really need to change the sensitivity. All the other types of, AR gameplay, you don't really need to change your sensitivity for it. It's pretty much just tracking. So if you can track relatively well with said sensitivity and it feels comfortable, use it. So let's go ahead and see if we can track. Now we're gonna wait once more for that thing to fly up, because that's a really good indicator to see if it's a good sensitivity when something really quick is moving. Once again, I can track really well, and I still have plenty of space. Now I'm playing flat. When you play flat, it makes your sensitivity, like, it feels faster because you have more room with your thumb. Your guys is probably gonna be way higher than mine, but as you can see, it works pretty well. My ADS is 140, and when I go right here, my firing is going to be, wait, where is it? I went way too low. My firing is 140. So from this point on, you can take everything else and apply it the same way. So if your ADS is 140, copy that to your 3x scope to 140, right? Then what you're gonna wanna go ahead and do is copy whatever your firing sensitivity is. Now my firing is 140, so we're gonna go ahead, copy that to 140. Once you have that, all that process I just did right there, everything you saw me do, copy that exact process, but for the 3x and the 4x. And once you have that done and down pat, you can then go ahead and do a little bit of, fixing up. So since this is higher, I would slow it down by around 10 points. Nothing really more than 10 points. I would keep it about 10 to 15 points. Now for your 4x, I would put it the exact same, right? And I would do 10 to 15 points. Now more so 15 points for the 4x, because it's going to be a bigger scope, so it's going to be higher sensitivity, because as you go up in scope size, your sensitivity is going to feel faster. So I would go ahead, take this down maybe, I don't know, 5 points. I would take this down maybe 9 points, like that. I'm not sure if that's even 9 points, but I would have something like that, just like a little bit staggered. Now remember, all it has to do is feel relatively comfortable. Everything's not going to be perfect, but it just has to feel relatively comfortable. Once you have that, you can go in and you can go mess with, you just practice and you're going to get the hang of it. Now for sniping, as you guys already know, just literally, it's not going to change that much. But I guess since I'm here, I'm going to show you guys how to find your sniping sensitivity. It shouldn't be that high. At least for most people, it shouldn't be that high. For me, I like a high sniper sensitivity. So if you want a high sniper sensitivity, just make sure you can, be able to flick really well. Just whatever flick feels comfortable. This is how I find a high sensitivity. But other than that, just find something you can easily track something with. So if I'm over here, this is a pretty good sensitivity. The base one is pretty good. There's no need to make it that high. But as you guys can see, I can go from back and forth pretty fast. I would probably put this up to like 10 points because it just feels a little bit too slow to me. And yeah, that's what I would do. However, if you are someone that likes a high sniper sensitivity, which I really don't recommend using, it takes a long time to use. And if you're looking for your sensitivity this late in the game, don't recommend using a high sensitivity if you want to get good fast. But if you do, literally go in and then see what feels good when you try to flick. So I like to be able to flick to literally my side. I would like to be here, a full 90-degree flick. Sometimes I like it to be almost a 270 from where I am, but yes, that's pretty much what I like. And if you can do that, then that's what I'm gonna say is a pretty good sensitivity. Just get used to that. But that is how to find your sensitivity. Oh my goodness, just literally that I don't know, it's been a long time trying to record this, but hope this works for you guys. If it does, please like. It's been your boy Tigon, and I will catch you later. Peace out. My mouth is so dry.